to Talk It Out with D&D, where we have real conversations with real people that create real impact. I'm your host, Denise Murray, and here with my amazing co-host, Denise Day All Day. Now, tonight's conversation is one you don't want to miss. We're talking about money, financial literacy, and building wealth the right way, especially for our teens and young adults.
Yes.
Now, let's be real. A lot of us were never taught how to manage money. We had to learn that the hard way, losing our money, not knowing what to do with it, going out there buying all this expensive name brand stuff and not putting our money doing what we needed to do. We just wasted money. So imagine now if we can change that for the next generation. So tonight we have on a powerful guest joining us. Her name is Miss Felita Cornog. She's an attorney, a financial educator, and an author of Money, a guide for every teen and young adult to learn to manage money to build wealth. She's been helping people for years, and now she's putting that knowledge into a guide to help young people start early, y'all. So, y'all already know, drop live in the comments, share this. So, with anybody else that may need to hear this, and we are going to go ahead and introduce Miss Felita to everyone out here. Hey, Miss Felicia.
Hi, ladies. How are you?
Hello.
Happy Thursday.
Yes. Happy Thursday. Happy Thursday. Thank you so much for coming on with us. And before we get started, I want you to just tell us about yourself so you can let everybody know who you are and give us your background.
All right. Yes, ma'am. My name is Felita Cornog, and I am an attorney. I have been practicing now for about 26 years. I have done a gambit of everything: juvenile law, personal injury, family law. I still do family law now, but I focus mostly on adoption law. I do all kinds of adoptions, private adoptions, step-parent adoptions, grandparent adoptions, defects adoptions. The only adoptions I don't do are international adoptions. And in addition to doing adoptions, I also do legitimations where I help young men get legal rights to their children. And on the flip side of that, I help women with paternity petitions. Sometimes somebody called me and say, Miss Cornog, this young man is my baby's father, but he is denying it. And I'm like, okay, well, let's us help you. And if he is, we're gonna help you get child support. And and then if it turns out he's not, then you need to find out who the baby dad is, so we can get you situated. So those are the types of cases I do. I'll still do a divorce, but it's got to be strictly non-contested now. So after decades of doing high conflict divorces, I'm like, okay, I've had enough of that. And so, but I'll do them, but they got to be strictly non-contested. But I love everything I do, but I especially love doing adoption.
Awesome. Yeah. Now, what inspired you to write this book, especially for teens and young adults? Let's know about that.
It's like, most good things come out of pain. And so this book was born out of my financial pain. I woke up and I found myself some years ago in a very difficult situation. I had been diagnosed with a chronic illness, and I had been confined to bed for a while. And I was also broke. And I realized that, the chronic disease I had no control over, but being broke was all on me. And I had to learn how to get myself out of that hole. And I would like to say that this was something that was done in a matter of months, but it actually took me a couple of years to find out how to get myself out of that hole, and also how to learn to manage money. And one of the things I say about attorneys, we can handle everybody else's problem, but we're not really good at handling our own financial affairs for the most part. so and so that's why sometimes we do hire, business mentors. I have used over the years. I've hired business coaches to help me. Yeah, that was why I decided to write this book. And like you were saying in your intro, a lot of times we're not taught about money when we're younger. And I think that is the prime time to be learning about money.
Right. Now, was there a moment in your life or career where you realized financial education was missing, other than when you had that situation? Did you ever think that it was missing prior before that?
Yeah, I think it was. And you don't know what you don't know, as they say. I knew I was, even before that, I knew that I was digging myself in a hole even before the illness came about. I knew I was digging myself in a hole, but the illness just popped it just exacerbated everything.
Mm.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, all right. So we jumping into the money conversation area here.
Okay.
Okay. So I had a couple of questions as well. So why do you feel financial literacy is so important at a young age? And I know you have going to cover this well, because that's one of the things that I think we ought to be addressing in the youth coming into what's going on with money. So why do you feel that is so important at a young age?
Okay. Like a lot of things, the earlier you start, the more secure you're going to get when you start getting to my age. I'll be 63 in October. So, so you want to start building that foundation, so you don't end up like a lot of us, particularly now. We're finding ourselves where we're in our 40s and 50s, and we don't have any retirement savings whatsoever. And it's like, either we are going to be trying to live a lifestyle on Social Security, or we're going to be working almost until we die, or a combination of both. Because a lot of times we've gotten these lifestyles where it's Social Security enough for us to live on for the rest of our lives and everything. So of course, the younger you start, the more you can secure your financial future. And I won't get into all the numbers, but I'm sure a lot of you've seen them when people talk to financial advisors or whatever. They go online, just search it, and I have one in my book that they have these tables that show how much income you're gonna earn if you start for the future, and like if you start at 20 versus if you start at 30 versus if you start at 40, and of course the younger you are, the more time you have for that money to grow and accumulate. So the more money you have when you start, reaching those retirement ages, and whatever it might be. Everybody doesn't retire at 65. Some people, they've got this I forget what they call it now, where people are retiring in their 40s and 50s. And then you have some people that really like what they're doing. My former husband, who's also attorney, put me through law school. He was a number of years older than me. So he's semi-retired, maybe about 6 years ago. And then about 7 months ago, he fully retired. And so he'll be 79 this month. So some people just love what they do. So that retirement age is different from, everybody. And some people might have that goal, like, hey, I'm going to retire at 50 and then I'm going to do something else. So that retirement age looks different for everybody. But the thing is that it's going to come. And so, like I say, the earlier you start, the more money you can accumulate. There's just math.
Wow, I'm telling you, Queen, you speaking on this because there's a difference between if you understood compounding interest at 20 something versus 40 something.
Exactly.
I didn't understand when nobody teaching me that at 20, but I understood at 40.
Right.
And then even after you get out and you retire at 57, you still need that understanding. Mm-hmm. So this is so timely. Praise your heart. Okay, next question. What are some of the biggest money mistakes you see young people making today besides shopping all day every day? Other than those, what mistakes do you see the young people making? And the old people too, because see, I'll be 63 Sunday. I'm a reformed shopaholic. Okay? But talk to all of us. Talk to us. Tell us what we're doing wrong.
Right. Oh, okay, yeah, you like you say the shopping, but the thing is, with young people, they tend not to have any patience, and I guess there's a lot of us now. We live in what they call the microwave society. We want it now, and so, so one of the things I see them doing is they want to put all of their money into depreciating assets before they start building real assets that are going to grow their money and make their money. And what I try to encourage young people that, like, when you go to college or trades, we know college is not everybody. You start a business, you come out of trade school, and you start making your money. We don't want you going to the car dealership buying a BMW right off the bat. It ain't nothing wrong with a BMW. I've had my share of luxury cars. I don't drive a luxury car anymore. I drive a Hyundai now. So, but I understand how we want to do it, and I'm not telling. I have nothing against luxury cars, and I'm not telling anybody not to buy a luxury car. But timing is everything, and so I would tell somebody, look, if you're gonna go out and buy this car, like we all know, they lose about 20% of their value. Time you drive it off the lot, and that luxury car is going to be a liability. It's not making you any money. I mean, unless you rent it out on Turo or something like that, then it can earn you some money. But if you're just driving it just to look good and flaws, it's a liability. You gotta put gas and maintenance and insurance, and of course we know the more expensive cars are, the more expensive the insurance is. So that's one of the mistakes I see young people making. And my advice would be to, don't go out and buy this $60,000 car. Get you some more affordable. Toyota, nothing wrong with Toyotas, great cars. Hondas, love Hondas. I had one before I got the Hyundai, had 200-something thousand miles on it. Would have still had it if somebody didn't run into me and totaled it out. So those are great, dependable cars. So, get you something that's not going to be as expensive. And then I would say, I would prefer you put the money into an asset. Go buy, everybody's not, built to be a landlord, but for those who will go buy you a duplex. Go buy you a quadplex to put that money in. Start a little small business so you can have these tax write-offs and things. And do something like this. Start building your portfolio. Think, and those are kind of things I want people to get into their mind, especially young people, and start building your assets, and then start letting your assets pay for that luxury car once you got those assets and things in place. So that's one of the mistakes I see young people.
That is so on point, because yesterday I was just seeing that, honey, young people and some middle-aged folks was turning their luxury cars in. They were taking the Mercedes back, talking about I don't want this. Yeah. Okay. So if you could teach one money lesson to every teen, what would it be? I know we've been talking about a couple of different things here now, but what would that one thing be for the teens, that every lesson that they should learn? What would that be?
Oh, that is so hard to just name one thing. It is so hard.
Give us two.
Okay, two. Okay, let's do a couple of things. one, I think, is the avoid the if only I made more money trap. That's one thing I would teach. Because usually what we think, and especially, we are having a hard time managing our money, or we seem to have more month than we do money at the end of the month. So I think one of the things we get in our head is, well, if only I made more money, then I would be doing better financially. But the truth is, for a lot of us, if we made more money, we will still find ourselves living paycheck to paycheck. Because what happened is some people call it lifestyle creep, some people call it lifestyle inflation. So the more money we make, the more money we tend to spend. And to be honest, sometimes we spend even more than we make. so that's if we get real with ourselves. So sometimes we actually spend more than we make, and so that lifestyle creep can actually, especially when you're young, can be a detriment to your finances. Because if we get a raise, and then we want to go get a better car, we want to go get a bigger house, and it may be that we don't necessarily need a bigger house at this time. I mean, if you're just living by yourself, you don't have a family, you don't have kids, do you really need to go get a 5-bedroom house just because you can afford to? Can you afford to? Because like I say, the more we make, the more we spend. So we'll still probably, even once we get that house, probably still be living paycheck to paycheck. So I want to teach people to look out for that lifestyle creep, that lifestyle inflation, because just because we make more money doesn't mean we have to go out and spend that more money. If we can still make more money and keep our expenses the same, then that means we have more money to put in an emergency fund. That means we have more money to invest, or go buy that duplex or whatever. So if we can keep those expenses the same, even though we're making money, that's going to give us a better financial cushion.
I like that. I never heard of that. Lifestyle creep. Okay.
Lifestyle creep. So funny. Like I say, sometimes some people say lifestyle inflation. Yeah.
Right. My daughter was just actually talking about that the other day, because she was talking about how she was watching TikTok, and she started seeing a lot more people moving to Thailand, and they're spending literally like getting really, really nice homes and living less than $600 a month. And so and she was like, but they're moving out there because it's cheaper to live out here than it is, and then you're getting everything out there where food, everything is so much more cheaper than it is in here. And I was like, yeah.
And that is an option. Her daughter just moved to Thailand about 5 months ago, and she's old, and she's actually older. She had she's actually like 70, and her mom was like, "What are you gonna do about your job?" She said, "What job? I'm 70 years old. I'm retired." And so she just moved to Thailand about 6 years ago. And then my neighbor across the street, she has been Thailand before. She was in the military, and she said it's absolutely beautiful. And she just got accepted into law school. I'm so happy for her, because that's her dream. And she said, "Look, I'm a practice law, make me some money." And then she said, "I'm gonna move to Thailand." And so, and people are. One of my friends, she just went to visit Morocco. She wants to move to Morocco. So, So, and that's something you can do. If you can go these places and live much cheaper, and you still got that income, then you building a financial cushion, and so that's a great thing as well.
Yeah. Now,
go ahead.
Now, I was going to say, what is 3 basic things a young person should understand about money, though? Because, when you talk about money, a lot of times, like, I know, like me and my daughter, we have different conversations, and things that I know now and I wish I knew before, because I wouldn't have done. Just like last week, we had a guy on that he was talking to us about the solo 401k. And so, like, things like that we don't know, how can we put those different things and make sure that we educate in our children with these different things?
Okay. And that's a great idea. Great question. So, and there are a lot of a lot of financial ways that we can start investing as young people. And that's the thing that we need to teach, to let people know about these vehicles that are out there. And one of the things I have in my book, and we can't always go to our parents because our parents might not know the information, but I tell people, and in my book, I put the information is out there. You can find it. First of all, we've got Google. There's information out there to Google. I also tell people to look at free seminars. Banks a lot of times have free seminars. Also, there sometimes libraries will have series to tell people about different financial instruments, and I encourage people in the book, even though this is for most of the teenager, young adult, I always encourage parents to start learning about these different investment vehicles as well. Because, one of the things I had set up for my grandson, I set up a fund for him with Fidelity, even when he was like 16, because if they're earning some income from their job, summer job, or after school job, or whatever, you can set up a minor account for them, like an index fund, so they can start at 16, start putting money into an index fund. And so a lot of people don't know that, and that's another thing why financial literacy is important in schools. And for some reason or another, there had been this trend to take financial literacy out of high school. When I was growing up, we had a course on finance, and so they had started taking a lot of this out of the schools. But I was pleasantly surprised a few years ago when my grandson was in middle school in Conyers. He did have a finance course, and I was so glad. But there is a trend to start putting those courses back into schools now. Like I said, I don't know why they took them out. Someone was telling me about budget cuts or something like that. Because I tell people, algebra's good, but you only about 4% of high school graduates are going to ever use algebra. But everybody's going to use money all the time. So I'm glad that there is a trend to put finance courses back in the high school. But in my book, like I said, I do give places where you can start going and learning about investment, learning about financial literacy. And I think I tell people, who are reading my book, congratulations, because you're on the right track. Because if you got this book in your hand, then that means you are serious about learning financial literacy. And there books that in the library on Amazon. It's not just my book on Amazon. There are a number of finance books on Amazon that are geared toward children, when they're written on a level for children to understand. But like I say, and I tell teenagers, I talk to teenagers, and the book for young adults. Of course, young adults, I come, learning finance and doing financial literacy is your responsibility. So I point to some places where you can start learning about financial literacy, because it is. I think I like to hear John Hope Bryant said that the issue of our day is no longer civil rights, it's silver rights, SILVER. And that is what we need to be focusing on right now, is those silver rights.
Right. It's so crazy that you mentioned him, because I was so impressed that right now, starting next year, starting next semester, with the college, he's actually partnered with my daughter's school, with Clark Atlanta. And now they're actually going to start off all the freshmen with a financial course. So they're going to actually start putting that input in them as freshmen. And he's the one that's in that program. Him and Killer Mike. they're doing
Yeah.
a program for they started it at the Clark Atlanta. So I thought that was really good. And for people who's listening, if you look on the screen, you'll see there's a QR code there where you can purchase the book. So if you go ahead and scan that QR code, so you can be able to get that book, because this information is so useful. Now I'm gonna skip through. I just want to kind of, because I know you can't be on but too long, but what would you say the difference between managing money versus building wealth?
Okay. Well, they go hand in hand. Because you got, in order to build wealth, you need to learn how to manage money. So I do have some things in this book where I talk about budgeting, and like you say, a lot of people say when they think about budget, they think about restrictions and things like that. But having a budget teaches you, at least shows you where your money is going. Because we can't manage money if we don't know where it's going. And also the thing about the budget as well, if if you need to cut back on expenses, it actually shows you where you can cut back. Because if you're spending too much money on clothing or shoes, I love shoes. So if you're doing too much on shoes, or you're eating out too much, or you just impulse buyer, we just go in the store and just pick up things. If you I tell people for 3 months to look at every dime you're spending. I mean, I don't care if you're going into the store and coming out with a Snicker and a Coca-Cola. And when I first did this, I did this by hand. But you got budget tools, and I name a few. I don't get endorsements from anybody, so they can help you do this electronically, because you got to know where your money's going, what you're spending on, all the categories you're spending. You got to know the difference between your fixed expenses, rent, things that aren't going to change, things like rent, but and your non-fixed expenses like eating out. That's not a fixed expense. So you got to know the difference between those. So you got to know how to manage money before you can start building wealth. So, and I think the thing is wealth is, in my opinion, is where you want to get to a point where you're no longer having to work for the money. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that, especially if you love what you do, but you want to get to a point where your money can work for you. And that gives you, and to me, that's what wealth is. And feeling good about what your money is doing, and because at the end of the day, if we building wealth is also a mindset as well. And we have to figure out what are our beliefs about money. Are we having limited beliefs about money? And I come from, I don't have time to get into my background, but I've had a lot of childhood trauma, and one of the things I had to get real with is I believed I didn't deserve money, which is why I was not charging enough for my services, giving away the house when I used to be married. My former husband, look, let me get the money. You do the legal work. You can give away that house. And I had to realize that after some therapy, nothing wrong with therapy, after growing up and learning that I really, one of the problems with my financial struggles is I really did believe I did not deserve money. So we've got to get our mindsets right, and we got to, feel good about the money we made, because if you, because one bad financial situation, it just started leading down the road to it becomes a domino effect. So you need to feel good about the money you're making and what you can do with that money, whether you can help someone or help the next generation build wealth. So I think that's really important.
Wow. Okay, well, let me jump back in here with real life and accountability. Okay, what happened? I'm gonna combine these two. So what habits should young adults start now if they want to build wealth later? And how early should someone start thinking about it, if that's credit, saving, or investing? So how should they start now if they want to build the wealth later? And how early should someone start thinking about credit, saving, and investing?
Okay, so some of that is, like I say, the earlier better, but sometimes that can depend on your maturity level. But I do think at least at least preteen we should start having children, exposing them to, like I say, different books, different seminars, different things about money, and start having serious talks with kids about money. Sometimes adults, especially my generation, they really didn't talk about money. You could see the struggle, but nobody really talked about it. So I think we need to have having real conversations about money, because, like I say, money is something you're gonna deal with almost every day for the rest of your life. So I think we need to start having real conversations with children about money. Again, I think by the high school level, uh, that is still a good time to start learning about budgeting and about investing. Now, my book, I don't give investing advice in the book itself, but I do talk about investing, some different vehicles, and then the ways that we can start learning to do this. So I think that's going to be important. But there's several chapters in the book, but like I say, learning first of all to budget, and learning to be okay with a lot of times, I talk about, keeping up with the Joneses and everything in comparison, and being okay with, you ain't got to blast all your business out to everybody, but you might be some family of members or friends that might say, hey, well, let's go out, let's eat, let's do this right there. And you might have to say, hey, that's not in my budget today. And be okay with that. Because a lot of times when you find out it's really not in their budget either, but they don't want to say.
Okay. Let's have a cookout at the house.
Yeah, they don't want to say. So be comfortable with staying on your track, not letting anybody, if you got you stay in your lane, and be comfortable with not letting anybody pull you off of your financial goals. And that's one of the things I start instilling in children and young adults, is to have financial goals. You have goals like everything else, which college we're going to go to and want to get into. So then start, building those financial goals.
Okay.
And that's what I would like to tell. And it was my second thing I didn't get to. Well, you was asking me one thing I would tell people or tell young adults, that my second thing was the pay yourself first method. I did not learn pay yourself until I was in my 50s. And that is a great way to start building financial security, because what we tend to do is we tend to spend everything, and then we try to save what's left, and then use it's nothing to save. But if you start putting aside a certain percentage, you have to grow to the percentage. If you start putting aside just a small percentage in a high yield savings account or something that helps building up a cushion, and then you spend what's left. That was one of the things that actually was a game changer for me. And although this book is for teenagers and young adults, but if you are still 30, 40, struggling, trying to manage money, this book is for anybody at any age who is starting out new. I've had some people that bought this book for like a godchild or a grandchild or a child or a niece or nephew, and came to me and said, look, I need to get another copy because I started reading this and started marketing. So I need to get another copy for the person I actually bought this for. So it's no shame. It's no shame. Like I say, a lot of this stuff I didn't learn until later in life. So the point is not where you start. The point is that you start.
Okay, I love that you just said that, because as you talking, I'm sitting up here like, I'm getting that book too for me. Because here was the thing. The last one was talking about, in my section, for real life and accountability, what's the one mindset shift that people need to make about money. And one thing that I understood, and I remember hearing this, that back in the day, the Rockefellers was the one that took money management out of the school systems because they said they didn't want thinkers, they wanted workers.
Exactly.
Now, if all of us regular folks understood investing and we understood about some ETFs and how to get in there and do management, buying stock and things and products that we use every day. See, I learned that at 45 because I had a manager that told me about it. Don't be afraid. Even if it crashes, it's going to go low. They're going to buy low. It's coming back high. And that's how I got into the stock market.
Wow.
But at 45 years young, they was not teaching that in my school. They were teaching us algebra 1, 2, 3, and 4, trigonometry, and some other crap that I never used. I'm not a scientist. That wasn't my calling, okay? But the mind shift, we got to shift our own minds and say, what's it going to be? So I'm so appreciative of you, and I'm getting a couple copies of the book, okay? I'm going to bless somebody with one. The other one going to be me and my husband. Okay. But the mindset, what's the one mindset shift that people need to know about money? Never too late, I think, but you tell me.
Well, yeah, that's never too late. But the mindset about money is that it's doable. You can do it. You can manage your money. This is not something that's impossible to do. You can manage your money. You can manage it till you have a safe cushion. And you can learn to invest, even if it's, you can learn to buy stock market, but hey, you just gotta buy index fund. You can learn. It is doable. So that's what I want people to know, that this is not something that's just beyond their heads. That it is doable.
I love that. I love that, Queen. Thank you for that. All right, Lisa, picking up next.
Now I'm gonna go because I know you have to go, so I'm gonna just end it with what's the final piece of advice you want to leave with our audience tonight?
Okay, that your finances are your responsibility. That's what I want to leave with everybody, that they are our responsibility. And like I said, you can manage your money.
Awesome. Thank you so much. This was so good. Melissa Felicia, thank you so much for coming on and sharing your knowledge, because how will we change our lives if we can't build no legacy? You know what I mean? Exactly. So we need to have this information to be able to build a legacy. Y'all, if y'all got some value out of this conversation, I need y'all to drop value in the comments. Share this live with somebody, especially someone with kids or someone trying to just get their finances together. And make sure y'all go and support Miss Felita Cornog and grab her book. You can see the QR code. You can scan it right above. Book Money, a guide for every teen and young adult to learn to manage money to build wealth. Because listen, the earlier you learn about money, the faster you build wealth. We appreciate y'all for tapping in with us on Talking Out with D&D. Again, I'm your girl, Denise Murray, and it's my co-host, Miss Denise Day, Miss Day All Day, and we will see y'all next time. Y'all have a great night.
Thank you, Queen.
Thank you. Thank you.